Tutorial we're going to learn how to place text on the page and how to resize it and colour it as per the requirements of your magazine project. So we're on the startup page again. I'm going to go to the document I created, magazine layout, double click on that, and here are my my front page, my inside spread, which I've put two pictures on. So I'm going to put a masthead on the front page of this magazine. And a masthead is, as I'm sure you all know, the name of the magazine. It should be the biggest piece of text on the front of the page because it's your brand, and that needs to be always clear to the audience, because that's how we get our readers, by making sure they always know what product they're getting. So I need to draw a text box. So I'm going to go to my menu down the left hand side, and I'm going to go on the T, the type tool. I'm going to click that, and you can see the cursor has changed to a writing tool. I'm going to drag a box across the top of the page, like so. You can see that the cursor is flashing in the box, so you can write in it. I'm going to write in capital letters, InDesign. I'm just making up a masthead for this magazine now. So that's InDesign, I'm going to call it. It's very small, and it's probably not in the font I want, so I need to change both of those things. So in order to change anything about the text on a page, you have to first make sure the text is highlighted so that InDesign understands which element of the page you want to change. So if I press Control A or Command A if you're on a Mac, I can highlight all the text in the box. So it's all highlighted now, so I'm going to go up here to the drop down font menu and the size menu next to it, the font size menu. So firstly I'm going to change the size so I can see it properly, and if I go to the drop down menu you can see that the biggest size I can have is 72 point on the drop down menu. So if I click that, it's probably not quite big enough for what I want, which means I can just go straight into this box, take out 72, and I'm going to try 90 and press enter, and it's made it a bit bigger. Still not big enough to go across the whole page, but I probably don't want it a lot deeper than that, so I'm going to leave it at 90. And then I am going to change the font to something else. So you go to your drop down menu, there are loads of fonts in InDesign, and next to each font you can see an example of the kind of font that it is. So you can scroll all the way down and try lots of different ones. It's probably a good idea to have in your head whether you want a serif font or a sans serif font. So I'm going to go for a serif font for the front of this magazine, and I'm going to go for Bodoni old style. So I'm going to click on that, and that has changed my font to something a bit better. So I'm going to just work with that for the present, but I could change it loads of times and spend a long time trying different fonts and thinking about that. So it's all up to, a lot of fiddling about, seeing where you get with your fonts. So that's mine, and there's a couple of problems with it. If I just click off it there's a couple of problems with it. Firstly, it stops 3/4 of the way across the page, and the woman in the middle of the page, the symmetry of it is not sitting right because she's right in the middle of the page, and the masthead just finishes 3/4 of the way, and also the masthead is blocking out her face. So firstly, if I can fix how far across the page the masthead goes. So if I double click in the box and highlight all my masthead again, and I go to this tool here, tracking, it's got a VA and an arrow underneath it, going with a two-ended arrow underneath it, and it's tracking. And what that does is stretch the words, the letters in or out. It puts bigger space between each of them. It doesn't squash the actual letters, it squashes or increases the space in between the letters. So if I go to my drop down menu, you can see that we're on 0. If I go into the minus numbers, that will, if I just go minus 50, that will squash the spaces even more. If I go to plus 50, that will make the spaces bigger, and so the word stretches out. So I'm going to take it to 100. That's probably still not enough. If I just go to the little arrow at the side, I can keep increasing it as much as I want and make it go all the way across the page, like so. So now I've got a masthead that does go all the way across the page, and I quite like the big spaces in between. However, it's still blocking the woman's face. Now in Photoshop, what we can do is take this picture of the woman and cut it out so it has no background on it, and lay that on top of this one sitting over the masthead. And that's what a lot of magazines do. You see a lot of magazines with the head over the masthead, and sometimes it blocks out a letter of it. So you may or may not like that. I don't always like to see the masthead completely obliterated, but sometimes it does look good if it's not too much, if it hasn't taken out too much of the masthead. However, in this case, because we're just starting off, I'm not going to divert people into Photoshop and taking the background off things just yet. We're just going to do something simpler with it for the purposes of this demonstration. But that is obviously an option that you see on a lot of magazines. Anyone who knows how to do Photoshop can try that for themselves. If you don't, I will show you how to do it. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on manipulating the text in the box. So what else can I do? When I look at this, I think, what else can I do to make the woman's face more visible? Well, I could put a bigger space in between the E and the S in InDesign, so that it sits in the middle of the word but doesn't actually, but isn't covered by any of the letters. So if I do that, if I highlight my letters again and go back to this tracking device where I can make the spaces bigger, you can see if I make them any bigger, it's going to bust off the page. So that's not really going to work for me. Also, I don't want to make all of them bigger. Now you can just highlight the two you want to make bigger, but that's quite a fiddly way to do it. And I can see in this instance, sometimes a simpler option is just to put an extra space in between the middle of the letter. So I've done that, and her face is instantly more visible. However, the rest of the word has bust. So I'm going to highlight it all again, and I'm going to take the tracking down a bit until I have it so that she's in the center. So there she is in the center, but the S is still quite over her face, and really I'd probably like to put another space in there to clear it off her face. However, that busts the word again because the box isn't big enough, so I'm going to select all the copy and keep going down on this until I get it to how I want it to be. I've taken it down to 180. If I move the masthead so it's still centered, there you can see she's more in the middle, and that's a fairly easy way without having to go into Photoshop and put a background on a picture. I'm just going to move the masthead up a bit like that. Now you might not want to do that. You might want the person's face sitting in front of the masthead, which is fine. And as I say, we will do that. But for now, when you're learning how to manipulate text, it's a good idea to try and use all of these devices here to spread the letters out or narrow them, change the size, or the font. The font can make quite a difference to how this works. This might not have worked in a different font. And you can see if I just change randomly to another font, it's completely busted. And I would have to go back and reset the VA set, the tracking settings all over again. So I'm going to go back to my font, which works okay. And that's it. I'm also going to see what this would look like finished print. And the easiest way to do that, so you can take all these guides off the page, is to press W. And if you press W, you will get an image of your page as to how it will look when it's actually printed. So I can see there when I'm looking at this that it looks okay. There's probably a little bit more space on this side than there is on this side. And if I fiddle about for a bit, I can probably fix that with a bit more spaces and moving the box about. Also, I don't really like the colour of the masthead. I think it's too dark because the background is very dark. And in magazines, you will see the same masthead in different colours on different issues. It doesn't have to be the same colour every week. Depends on what the picture is you've got on the front page. So I'm going to put my guides back on so I know what I'm doing. And then I'm going to highlight the text again. And to change the colour, if you go to your panel here, you'll see colour and swatches. Now, it might seem obvious that to change the colour, you go to colour. But you'll see if you go to colour that what colour brings you up is the current colour of the masthead, which is a mono colour. It's black. So it's bringing you up that scale. It's bringing you up the black and white scale of colour because that's the colour the masthead actually is. If you go to swatches, you can see this is where you change the colour. So you can change the colour to anything. You can try them all. You can just click on blue and you have to click off to see the colour, and that's it in blue. I don't like that, so I'm going to highlight the text again. I'm going to go to magenta, click off it to see the colour. Probably not mad about that either. So I'm going to highlight it again. And because she's got red lipstick, I'm going to try red and click off it. And then if I click W, I can see how that's going to look, and I think, yeah, maybe I prefer that. Red, maybe it suits the colour white, black, red. It's a good combination. So I'm going to leave it at red. I'm just going to highlight the text again. If I didn't like that red colour and I wanted to change the shade of red, I double click on the red box and you can see here I can take it right down to being orange if I want. Change it to being pink. It allows you to change all of the scales of the colour that you've got. And click OK. And so that's how you size and space text and put colour in it quickly. Now, if we go down to the second page here, and I'm just going to close that, and let's say I want to do a headline to go with this story here. I'm going to go to my T box and draw a headline. I'm going to write a headline, summer style. I'm just going to highlight all of that. I'm going to go back to my fonts. I don't have to use the same font. I can pick a different font. Your masthead font is not necessarily the same as all the other fonts. So you can pick, actually I can't really see it, so I'm going to make it bigger first. I take it up to 72. Maybe that's a bit big. I'll just use a bit of drop down menu, go to 60. Summer styles. If I wanted to highlight all of that text, I might think to myself, I would like to pick up the colour that's in this girl's dress. I would like to pick up some of the colours. So if I wanted to pick up some of the colours to change my headline into one of the colours in this dress, I can go to this button here. Now if I hold it down, you will see that there are three options: the colour theme tool, the eyedropper tool, and the measure tool. If we just go to the eyedropper tool, you can see it turns to like a little pipette. And actually my text needs to be highlighted. I'm going to have to highlight my text first. Sorry, just go back, highlight my text. Click on the eyedropper tool. The pipette turns up and I just go to wherever on the dress I want to pick up the colour. So if I wanted the yellow, I would click there, or if I wanted the pink, I would click in the pink. So I'm going to click in the pink, and you can see the pipette has changed to being full and my headline has changed colour. If I click off it, oh, let's go back there. If I click off it and back on my selection tool, rather, you can see it's gone to being the pink in her dress. So that's how you pick up the colour of another aspect of the page that you might like to use for your headlines. Now, the only problem is with this is, how do I get this colour again? If I want consistency on my pages and I want to use this pink colour again, how do I find it? Well, when you go, I'm just going to highlight my text again. When we go to the eyedropper tool, we click on it, go back to the dress. I'm going to try yellow this time. Click on it. And as soon as you've done it and you can see the text has changed and the pipette is full, you go to swatches and new. And there it has made me my new colour down the bottom. And that means anytime I want to use that colour, it's in my swatches for this page. For this document rather, it's in my swatches. So I don't have to keep going and picking it up every time, because I want to make sure it's the same colour I'm using all the time for consistency, if I want that, if that's what I'm after. So you must always remember, if you pick a colour up and you want to use it again, to put it straight into your swatches by clicking new swatch here as soon as your pipette is full. So if I click off, I can see I've got a yellowy colour that it's picked up on from one of the yellowy tones. I might not want just one colour off it. I might look at this dress and think, I'm going to do the rest of the pages in shades of pinks and yellows and maybe a bit of purple, which is what's in this dress. So if I want to do that, I need to go back to my tool here and hold it down until I change it from eyedropper tool to colour theme tool. And if I do that, and I firstly need to go back into my text and highlight it, highlight all my text, go back here to where I've changed eyedropper to colour theme tool, click on that, and I go to this dress and I click in the middle of the colour palette. There it has brought me up all of the colours in this dress. The magenta, the white background, the yellow, there's a beige in there and a reddy colour, reddy tone in there. So that's brought up all of them. And if I want, you can get different shades of that theme. You can have a brighter shade, a darker shade, a deeper shade, or muted shades of it. It's all up to you as to what kind of palette you want for the page. So as soon as you do that, and you've got your themes, if you then just click on that button there, you can see it says add this theme to swatches. I click on that and it's all in my swatches. So if I don't just want one colour, but I want the whole theme, which can be useful because it gets you a group of colours that you can immediately use all around the page that match in with your picture, it drops it all into swatches, which means you can just change any of your copy or picture borders or any of the other things we'll look at. You can change them to those colours. And that's it for colours.